This video captures the moment when Brittanee Drexel, a 17-year-old girl, casually leaves a hotel in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, during her spring break with friends in 2009. Little did anyone know that this would be the last footage of Brittanee before she mysteriously disappeared. Despite over a decade of searching, false confessions, and dead ends, the case remained unsolved. As the years passed, people came up with wild and complex theories about Brittanee's disappearance. It wasn't until 13 years later that investigators finally uncovered the heartbreaking truth. They realized that the person responsible for Brittanee's disappearance had been right in front of them all along. On April 25, 2009, a young girl named Brittanee Drexel, who was only 17 years old, left her home in Rochester, New York, and went on a trip to Myrtle Beach in South Carolina. She didn't tell her parents the truth about where she was going or who she was going with. When Brittanee didn't respond to her boyfriend, John Greco, he got really worried. This concern led to an investigation. They looked at videos from security cameras and talked to people who saw her to understand where she went and what she did last. To find the missing 17-year-old girl, Brittanee was last seen walking to a hotel nearby, about a mile away, to meet some friends she made during her trip. When she reached the hotel, she stayed for a short while. Unfortunately, she got into an argument with one of the girls she traveled with. The disagreement was about a pair of shorts that Brittanee had borrowed. A 17-year-old girl was recorded by a security camera leaving her friend's hotel and returning to Bar Harbor Hotel at 1010 North Ocean Boulevard. While she was texting John about an argument, she suddenly stopped responding shortly after 9:15 p.m. The authorities found out that her phone had been tracked, and it had moved along Route 17, which is close to the border of Georgetown County and Charleston County. Eventually, it came to a stop in a swampy area by the Santee River. Brittanee's situation got attention from people all over the world. Dawn Drexel, Brittanee's mom, went to the area where Brittanee was last seen. She spent several days putting up posters and talking to strangers on the street, asking if they knew anything about her 17-year-old daughter.
Horrible, because I don't know where she is. I don't know if she's alive. She left all her clothing, her hair stuff, everything. It's just not like Brittanee. Something's wrong.
When the clues ran out, Brittanee's friends were blamed for things they didn't do. Her mental health came under scrutiny when her adopted father shared that she had struggled with feeling really sad before.
In the piece, your daughter's father said that she had concerns about him, about your daughter and about her sort of psychological stability. Is there a possibility here that she just ran away?
No, I don't believe she just ran away. And she was going through a lot because my soon-to-be ex-husband, we were going through a divorce. So this has been very hard on her.
No one could figure out where Brittanee went missing. The case got cold, but investigators kept looking for clues. 6 years later, in 2016, a person who was in jail for causing someone's death told the FBI that he knew something important about Brittanee Drexel's case. He said he had information that could help solve the mystery.
New details about a New York teenager who disappeared from Myrtle Beach in 2009. Federal officials now say an inmate told them he witnessed Brittanee Drexel's sexual abuse inside a gang stash house. The inmate said the 17-year-old was then shot and killed. Her body then fed to alligators.
Quan Brown, who is in jail, told the FBI that he saw Brittanee Drexel being killed 2 days after she disappeared on April 27, 2009. Tequan shared that he went to a place in McClellanville, South Carolina, about 60 miles south of Myrtle Beach. He went there to give money to a local heroin dealer named Sean Taylor. Timothy Deshawn Taylor, 16-year-old son of drug dealer, was one of the men who allegedly saw a woman being sexually assaulted in-house. The woman matched Brittanee Drexel's description. Tequan mentioned that a few days after Brittanee tried to run away, some men shot and killed her. They wrapped her body and threw it into a marsh with alligators, close to McClellanville and where her phone was turned off. The police and FBI were very interested in Timothy Deshawn Taylor when a missing person case turned into a murder investigation. They had already checked alligator ponds thoroughly in the area. Tim committed an armed robbery at a McDonald's in 2007. After that, he successfully completed 18 months of probation. Despite this, federal agents decided to charge him again for the same armed robbery. They wanted to put him behind bars to take a closer look at his relationship with Brittanee. Timothy told the police he never met Quan before and strongly denied being involved in the crime.
With the obvious question, did you kill Brittanee Drexel?
No, sir. I did not kill Brittanee Drexel.
Were you involved in the kidnapping of Brittanee Drexel?
No, sir, I was not.
Were you with Brittanee Drexel the night she disappeared in April of 2009?
No, sir.
I'm not sure who the administrator is who posts the comments, but the person who apparently has information, they say they have information, says there are witnesses who are not in jail, other than, I assume, this Daquan Brown, who have told them that they saw you with Brittanee. What do you think of that?
If it was witnesses, then it would have been brought to the attention and they would have highly spoke about it, but I'm pretty sure there's no witness. I know that there's no witness because I've never seen her and I've never been with her.
In March 2018, Timothy agreed to a lie detector test to prove his innocence, but he didn't pass. A few months later, detectives realized Taquan's confession was false and stopped investigating him. Instead, they turned their attention to a suspect they hadn't ruled out yet, Raymond Moody. He was in prison for a serious crime involving children. He got out in 2004 after being there for 21 years. But since then, he's been suspected of doing more bad things, especially after he moved to Georgetown. One big incident was in 2005 when a 28-year-old mom named Crystal Souls went missing. Moody was thought to be involved, but the police never officially charged him. Later, in April 2009, the police found out that Moody was in Myrtle Beach with his girlfriend, Angel Vos. What's more, this wasn't the first time that police had heard his name in connection within this case. In 2011, Angel talked to investigators and said she was suspicious that Moody might have been part of Brittanee's disappearance. Angel told investigators that she thought her boyfriend, Raymond Moody, might be dangerous because he was convicted in the past for being a child sex offender.
No, like I said, a few years have gone by, things, people, I know, people like that don't always change, I know that. And I know there's always that tendency that they can do it again, I know that.
Despite his past mistakes, Angel remained in a relationship with Moody. Investigators worked for years to build a case against the Raymond Moody, who now 76-year-old in 2021. An FBI task force was formed to look into the matter. Angel, now a nurse at MUSC, met with senior investigator Hank Harrison at the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office, along with 2 other FBI agents and an analyst. During the interview, they asked Angel about the events of April 25, 2009. As they pressed for details, Angel became distressed and left the interview. Garrison talked her down outside the sheriff's office, and she eventually returned to cooperate with the investigation.
I would never hurt anybody.
What's the truth then?
I don't know the whole truth. I don't know where it was that night.
I believe you, Angel. I really do.
I really don't.
I do. I believe you right now. All we're looking for, we need your help, right? To piece this thing together.
I know.
I was not about to just, what my belief is that it does depend upon the evidence.
After the agent comforted her, Angel shared that she recalls Raymond coming back on April 26, 2009, with scratches on his face. She didn't know where he got them and asked him if she might have caused them during a drunken argument.
I was sure that he had my vehicle. He had asked me for it to trade vehicles, and I didn't ask why. Big deal. And then I do remember him calling me early in the day. And I was off, but I just didn't feel like, meeting up at that time. So I told him, yeah, I will meet you. So that evening, I did meet him.
Down by the
Yes.
hotel by the land,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And you traded vehicles.
Yes.
You took
I took my vehicle, and he got the red.
SUV?
Yes, and he got the red truck.
Angel told investigators that on April 25th, she left work early and met Moody to exchange cars before going their own ways. The detectives said they had proof suggesting that Angel's phone and credit card were in the Ocean Boulevard, North Myrtle Beach area around the time Brittanee disappeared. Angel denied being with Moody, but suggested her phone and card might have been in her truck, driven by Moody. Angel shared with investigators that Raymond left their home around 1 a.m. and returned after about half an hour. As the interview progressed, Angel became more cooperative and mentioned that she could approach Moody for information. She went on to suggest the idea of placing a bug in the house to gather more details.
Oh.
What do you think you'd say?
I was, in the beginning, I was very nervous about it. I really was. You know, because I didn't know. I didn't know. And he won't say anything, you know. So I didn't know. I still don't know. So does it make me nervous when people bring it up? Yes, it makes me nervous. You know, of course it does. Because I'm living with somebody who could have.
Right.
You know.
If you asked him if he was involved, would that be different?
No, he said no. I mean, I can try to ask him. I mean, again, you know, but first thing is going to be, he knows I'm here,
Right.
but he thinks I'm meeting for some other reason. First question is going to be, did they ask you about me? That's going to be the first question.
Okay.
I mean, he's real, I mean, he's suspicious. Believe me.
Still,
Oh, wait.
you had mentioned a bug. What is that something you think would work? Is that something that you think you could do?
Oh, yeah, I can do it.
So how would he respond to any discussion about it?
No, he don't talk about it.
After Angel finished her interview, she went back home. The FBI, who were watching, noticed some strange things happening at her house in the following hours. Raymond, a person related to Angel, was seen going in and out of the house. It looked like he was searching for something, perhaps what Angel had mentioned during the interview, that she still had an old phone she was using when Brittanee went missing. Due to Moody's unpredictable behavior, the authorities decided to get a warrant to search their home the next day. When they conducted the search, they found and took away 3 phones, 2 tablets, a disposable camera, and various other storage devices. On a Wednesday, May 4th, 2022, Raymond Moody sat down with investigators. What he shared was completely different from Angel's recent account. After 13 years of evidence building up against him, Raymond was ready. He knew the truth needed to come out.
The person who ever told this story to is my lawyer. Angel never even knew the real story. She never knew. Anyway, when I was going down Ocean Boulevard, we were going along pretty slow driving. I was driving, and pretty walking speed, and I saw the Drexel girl walking along on the sidewalk, and I was smoking pot. She noticed that, walked over to the door and said something about that smells like good weed. I said, yeah, you want some? Sure. Get in. She hopped right in the back, right a problem. And we smoked the weed, went down the boulevard, and we're just in small talk. Angel's not really saying anything, but we're smoking the pot. And I said, hey, you want to party a little bit with us? We're going to get some cocaine, you know? She said, sure. So we started driving. We were just driving around, smoking, talking. And went right into Georgetown. Went right to a spot where we used to camp out down by the river. And we went down there. And I was by myself with her, because Angel left for a while. Try to see her son. As things got out of hand, and I panicked, and she panicked, and I strangled her.
Moody knew Angel would be back soon, so he hid her body at a boat landing until she returned. When she asked where a missing 17-year-old had gone, Moody falsely claimed she left with friends that night. Restless and unable to sleep, he eventually went back to their campsite and buried her close to where she was killed.
Like her purse and her phone and stuff like that, do you know where that's at? Are you able to tell us?
Oh, I got rid of that a long time.
Did you throw it on the woods, or do you recall what you did with her stuff?
Actually, I dropped it in the donation box at Salvation Army, Georgetown.
All of her stuff, the phone included, and her purse?
Not
and
the phone.
What'd you do with where'd the phone go?
I threw the phone in the river.
Moody confessed to the police that he'd buried Brittanee a long time ago. He took investigators to the place where he claimed to have buried her. Moody explained the spots where he had sexually assaulted and killed her. The police then got a search warrant to check the property. Over the next 2 days, investigators dug up the site based on Moody's confession on May 4th. The day after his confession, Moody, along with his lawyer, sat down with the investigators to provide a complete statement. They talked about everything he had mentioned the day before. Even though Moody repeated his earlier statements, the detectives continued to ask him questions, trying to get more information.
Was she one piece? Was she multiple pieces?
No, she was a full cat.
Okay. You said you didn't cause any extra injuries?
No.
Any broken bones? Or
No. Do you know how you did it? How you strangled her? There's a couple different ways, obviously, you can strangle somebody just like that. There's nothing else that you might have kept, like the blanket might not have been kept. There's nothing else from that day. And when you transport, she was in the back of your truck. Yep. Like in the bed. Yep. Wrapped in the blanket. Yep.
Angel went to the sheriff's office in Georgetown County with her lawyer 5 days later. She shared a statement, making sure it couldn't be used against her in court. During this visit, Angel changed her story about that night to match what Moody had told the investigators.
We're just here for the truth.
Okay.
And so as long as that's everything that's told today, we're good to go.
Okay.
So just go ahead and I'll give you the opportunity. You just tell us what you remember about that time.
All right. Me and him went to the beach. We were in my vehicle, of course. We had smoked weed on the way up there while we were there, stuff like that. Then afterwards, we rode down the boulevard. He hollers him out the window. What he exactly said, I don't remember. She hollered something back, but couldn't hear. There's a lot of traffic. So he pulled up a little bit. He pulled over to a little parking lot on the side of the road. She walked over to the car. He spoke to her out the window, said something like, hey, you want to let's smoke some weed, do a line or two, and she said yes. She got into the vehicle, came back towards Georgetown, really just smoking along the way, stuff like that. Went down to the pole yard, walked around a little bit smoking. A little bit later, called my son, or he called me, I can't remember who called who, but he had the keys to the apartment. So I said I'll be back in a little while.
Angel changed her story under the protection of a deal, but it closely aligned with what Moody had told investigators.
Like after you got to the apartment, what you did?
I went to bed because I've been drinking. Okay, so yeah, I went to bed, and I said I believe that he was up for a little bit, but I went to sleep. I did wake up later, and he was gone. But like I said before, that really is kind of normal. He was always an early person. He'd get up 4:30, 4 in the morning, and he'd be up. That was just his routine, which he still did to this day.
They went back to the place where Brittanee was buried. After searching, they discovered a few things buried 4 feet beneath the ground: a nose ring, contact lenses, long hair, and some human remains. To confirm that it was Brittanee, they sent the remains for dental and DNA tests. 2 days later, the Drexel family received the devastating news that the tests confirmed it was indeed Brittanee.
South Carolina have recovered the long-missing remains of Brittanee Drexel, the 17-year-old New York girl who vanished while on a spring break trip to Myrtle Beach in 2009. Georgetown County Sheriff Carter Weaver announced on Monday during a press conference that Drexel's body was found on May 11th and that police have charged 62-year-old Raymond Moody with murder.
The police had a meeting to tell everyone that they found the body of the missing teenager and identified it.
Brittanee's mother, Dawn, and Chad, and Father John were promised that every resource would be used to find the answer of what happened to Brittanee, where did it happen, how did it happen, and why did it happen. The why may never be known or understood, but today, this task force can confidently answer the rest of those questions along with the who is responsible. The who is Raymond Douglas Moody. His date of birth is May the 9th of 1960, and he is a white male with an extensive sex offender criminal history. The Georgetown County Sheriff's Office charges against Mr. Raymond Moody are murder, kidnapping, criminal sexual conduct in the first degree. All of these charges occurring within the jurisdictional limits of Georgetown County, all of which occurred on April the 25th of 2009, and all of which detail Brittanee Drexel as the victim.
On October 19, 2022, Raymond Moody gave up his right to a trial, admitted guilt to all charges, and received a life sentence in prison. He also got 2 more back-to-back terms of 30 years.
I don't have the words to express how horrible I feel. And I've felt ever since that day very, very sorry.
Before reading Moody's statement, Judge Pharaoh Cothran Jr. spoke.
All products of the decisions we make in life. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people give up their long-term happiness for immediate pleasure. And you gave up a lot of people's long-term happiness for your immediate pleasure.
In court, Raymond Moody called me a monster. The person who supported Moody during the case hasn't been charged yet. She still works as a nurse. Moody is now in prison in South Carolina and won't be released.